Hello everyone and welcome to my channel once again. In case you guys are old subscribers and in case you guys are new, hello for the very first time. This is a great video to be here for because it's short, it's simple, it's sweet. Today I'm just doing a true crime book review and this is today's book, The Murder Business by Mark Fuhrman. So today's book is something that I absolutely loved reading. I read the whole thing in 2 days. It is amazing. I really enjoyed the writing. I really enjoyed the cases that were talked about, even though some of them were cases that I thought I would never really have an interest in because a couple of them have been done just so much. They've been talked about so much. There's so many complicated little details about them, and I just thought that they were cases that I would never be interested in. But after having read like just a little bit that it's about them in this book, I was just fascinated. There are so many things after having read this book that I feel like I am interested in now that I wasn't interested in before I picked the book up. So let me just tell you a little bit about the book itself before I talk about any of the cases. This book is written by Mark Fuhrman, and he was an LAPD detective, and he actually worked on the O.J. Simpson case, and he was one of the people that was testifying at the trials and everything, and so he has a very interesting background as a detective. Kind of after the O.J. Simpson trial and all of that, his career was never really the same. He does talk about that. He saves a lot of that for the last 2 chapters of the book, though, which is kind of nice because I felt like I got a really good sense of the kind of work that he's done in the past, and like both before and after the O.J. Simpson trial, and then he talked about the O.J. Simpson trial at the end. So I felt like I had a better grasp of who he was as a person and his background as both a detective and somebody working for the media. So after the O.J. Simpson trial, eventually he ended up getting hired on by Fox. They brought him on as some sort of like investigative journalist essentially, and he covered cases, and he did this from like the media perspective. So he has a very interesting background on covering these cases from both being a detective and from working in the media after he was a detective. So it was a really interesting book because, as you may have noticed, it's called The Murder Business, but under that there is also a little more to the title, and it says, How the Media Turns Crime into Entertainment and Subverts Justice. Now, I was interested in this because I understand that the media can have a very, very huge impact, a very huge influence on how cases go, and I felt like I kind of understood that a little bit before reading this book, and I feel like I have seen so much more after having reading this book. I'm so sorry, I'm just a little everywhere today, but I'm just so excited about this one because this one was really, really good, and I feel like there was so much that I hadn't even thought of as far as like how the media does influence cases in very specific ways. And he goes into a lot of this, and he talks a lot about how when he covers things for Fox, how he would do things very differently from how other news stations were covering these kinds of cases. And he talks about how those things affect not only how the case is seen by the general public, but they also affect how the police are able to do their job, how prosecutors are able to do their job if the cases go to trial, all kinds of things. So this book was just so valuable for learning about that kind of strained relationship between, detective work and the media. And as somebody who likes to look into these cases, as an armchair detective, that's kind of the word for it, I felt that this was a really interesting perspective, and you get 2 perspectives in this because you get a perspective of somebody who's worked both as a detective and as somebody in the media. So it was really interesting. Now, I don't want to go into details about the cases that he talked about, but I do want to list some of those cases for you guys. He did talk about Kaylee Anthony and her disappearance, her murder. He didn't go too much into the actual trial at all, which was kind of nice. He covered all the stuff before that. And then he also, of course, like I said, he talked about the O.J. Simpson case, but he saved that until the last 2 chapters. He also talked about a case where Melinda Duckett, she was suspected of having killed her son, and she was actually interviewed by Nancy Grace, and the day after the interview she actually committed suicide, and they've never been able to find out what happened to her son because of that. And like, that had a huge impact. He also talked about the Martha Moxley case and how it took so many years because, and it wasn't just the media who kind of, subverted justice, as the title says. In that case, it was the media and the department that was working that specific case, and how they basically just didn't do anything to further the case for 20, 30 years. So that was definitely interesting as well. He also talked about both Drew Peterson and Scott Peterson. Those are interesting cases. I kind of want to cover both of them, but I do know that just like a couple of weeks ago, Danielle Hallen, she actually covered Stacey Peterson's disappearance and Kathleen Peterson before her and Drew Peterson's connection to all of that. So if you guys are looking for a really good video on that, I would definitely suggest checking out Danielle Hallen's video. So I'm just going to link that over in the corner up here so you guys can check that one out because it was really good. It was really detailed, very in-depth, and I think you're going to get a lot out of that video. So please make sure that you guys go check it out. She does amazing work, very, very good research. In addition to that, there were some other cases that were covered in this book as well, and I think that honestly, you guys should definitely just check this book out, give it a read. It's a very easy read, but it's also very, very interesting. Like, I was so intrigued throughout the entire thing. I didn't really want to put it down, and like I said, I read the entire thing in about 2 days. It's not a super huge book. It's only like 188 pages. I know that you guys will enjoy this if you pick it up and you read it, if you have any prior interest in true crime. So definitely give this book a chance. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my ratings for this book right now, and then that's pretty much everything. So for this book, The Murder Business, I am going to start with the pens rating. So I'm going to actually give this book 4 out of 5 pens because I think that this book was really, really well put together from the author and the editors. I think that the writing was good. It wasn't too complicated, but it really, like, it intrigued me. It made me feel like I was, like, looking into this case with the author, or, well, these cases with the author. I thought it was really, really well written, and it's not, like, it doesn't, contain a lot of dragging on about things. It covers things and it moves on, and it's really good. I think it's something that anybody could pick up, having read anything in the true crime genre or not, and thoroughly enjoy. So the pens rating, by the way, I think I forgot to mention, is the quality of writing. So I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I think that honestly the only thing I didn't like about the writing was that I would have liked more. I think there could have been more to the book. I think it was very interesting. I would have liked to have read even more about some of these cases, about other cases that this person has looked into, investigated, or covered from whatever perspectives. So that was, I think, the only thing I didn't like about the book was that it wasn't longer. And then the next rating is the SPYGLASS rating. So I'm giving this book a 5 out of 5 SPYGLASS rating because a lot of this information comes from what the author has personally investigated, both from the media perspective in more recent years and in previous years from his perspective as a detective. And some of this stuff he actually personally worked on, or he personally knew the people investigating these cases. And he's written books about some of these cases. He's been very, very in-depth and thorough about his research in these cases, and the only thing that I really don't like about this particular book, other than wanting it to be longer, is that there were not sources cited at the very end, but he does talk about where a lot of his information comes from in the book itself, so I feel like, it's kind of an even trade-off there. I just wish that more people in the true crime genre were better at citing all of their sources in their books. That's my biggest thing. In my next book review, you guys will kind of hear a little bit more about that as well. But anyways, that is my review of today's book, The Murder Business by Mark Fuhrman. And I honestly think that you guys should go check this out. I checked mine out from my local library, so your guys' library might have it too. I know that it's on Amazon. I believe there is a Kindle version of it, so there's probably a Nook version of it from like Barnes & Noble too. It's a very good book. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that if you get the chance to read this book, or if you have read it in the past, that you guys enjoy it. And if you guys have any book suggestions, things that you want me to review from the true crime genre, or anything that has to do with specific cases, or with forensic techniques, or anything about anything revolving around true crime and investigating cases and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. If you guys have ideas that you want me to read and review, definitely let me know in the comments down below. I am super open to hearing your guys' suggestions. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what kind of books you've been interested in, but you never knew if it was worth going for, and I'll try to review some of those books for you guys. So again, thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you guys again on Wednesday for another new case. Bye!